Stars, when it comes to tensions between Kate Middleton and her sister, Pippa Matthews, it's clear that a seed is being planted, a warning shot fired. Pippa is one of maybe 2 or 3 people on the planet on whom Kate could rely for financial support if Prince William decides to let go of his ego. The implication is that the crown can take that source of support away, in my humble opinion. Now, if I were to have a sister who I'm very close with, missing one of her birthday celebrations for work, and even that's laughable because Kate was at a sporting event, and then dealing with serious illness, it wouldn't be enough to actually weaken our relationship. This is the 21st century. They don't text and video chat. They don't send each other flowers and funny cards just for the fun of it. I don't buy it. I do think that this father-in-law issue with Pippa is a big, itchy, black speck in the Middleton family eye. And I don't think it's going away. We're just not hearing about it. You know, this continued focus on Pippa's global fame because of her backside in that form-fitting white dress. It's curious. Why would your maid of honor wear white to your wedding? Is that a normal thing to do? Please school me, because I would think that a blush color, some pastel, might have been more appropriate for that role. It seemed to compete with the bride, unless the intention from the Middleton clan, and when I say that I mean Carol Middleton, the mastermind, was to sell Pippa as a bride to Prince Harry or other eligible men of means. Did it work? Again, like Prince William, Pippa had to ease down that roster to one that would actually go along with the program and not just waste her time for years and years. The dynamics in the Middleton family seem almost as skewed as in the royal family. Clearly, Carol Middleton is a narcissist, and Kate was the favored one. Taller, prettier, more athletic, maybe even more tractable, more controllable. Hearing Kate Middleton speak, it feels like she is someone who can be led and told what to do, whom to be aggressive to, like Meghan, whom to fawn at, right? Maybe her husband is someone who easily gets to dominate her, even if at Kate's core and at Carol's core, it's just game, right? Playing pliant victim, but really milking that royal connection for every shilling it's worth. And the game has played out to the positive benefit of the Middletons for years. And maybe that's why Prince William is a little bit salty about it. It is interesting that party pieces went bust. And at the time, Pippa and her husband didn't rush to bail them out and avoid all those embarrassing newspaper headlines that some feel were promoted by Prince William, Jason Nauf, Lee Thompson, and the whole Kensington Palace machine. Maybe there is some underlying resentment from Pippa about being treated as second class, second best in the family. And then poor James had to go begging to not only his Uncle Gary Goldsmith, but also Pippa's husband for cash for another one of his failed businesses. Okay now. After a decade of playboying around London, James married his own wallet and has one child right now and continues to write books and make dog food, and nobody buys any of it, in my humble opinion. Pippa, being second rate in the marriage market in the family, she also has developed more social skills. She seems more friendly and less aloof than Kate, Neither of the Middleton girls seems to have one, two, or even three loyal girlfriends that are not related to them. Curious. The non-favored child often does develop more people skills than the golden one, who thinks she is perfect just as she is, right? That's obvious. Many people have never considered the resentment Pippa could be harboring toward Carol. And if she harbors it toward Carol, she harbors it toward Kate as well for being the favorite. If Kate gets the boot from the palace and they really do have a failing relationship, what reason could Pippa have to keep her close if it can't give her and her new family a status boost, if it can't rescue her father-in-law from charges in France? Can David Rock Savage, is he an Earl of Cholmondeley? Chumley? What is his title exactly? Anyway, that's the next door neighbor to Prince William up at Anmer Hall, married to Rose Hanbury. Whom is the closer neighbor to William? Is it Rose Hanbury or her husband? Rumors have swirled about both. If Kate does get the boot, all of the aristocrats will be laughing at Kate. All those turnip toffs she was trying to kiss up to, and Kensington Palace will besiege Kate with a media smear that could burn a tunnel through hell. Pippa will have to drop her. Mary and Anne Boleyn will have to part ways. I think part of the reason Carol and Kate cling to being royal adjacent and married in is that Kate doesn't have the charisma of Princess Diana, who, after divorce, became an even more dynamic, dazzling presence on the world stage. These machinations are very 16th century, right? But they're being played out in modern media. The smear campaigns in the toxic British press, the ongoing attacks on Princess Meghan Sussex, Prince Harry, Bali. It's so scripted and so fake and so very unrelenting. I always figured the reason Pippa didn't bail out her parents was because she and her husband aren't as wealthy as they want people to believe, right? Is it that James Middleton's father actually owns Eden Rock, the resort in St. Bart's, or does his family own it? And is James Middleton a hedge fund owner, or is he simply a manager, right? Much like Jared Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudis to manage in a hedge fund. And I do believe that Jared Kushner owns that hedge fund. Does Pippa's husband own, or does he simply manage money for, friends and relations to dump cash into his fund and then hope that they get a better return than the rest of us get at our little banks and credit unions? The resentment angle makes a lot of sense, and I would definitely be resentful if I were in Pippa Middleton's position. It is kind of galling for Carol that she gets her financial woes plastered all over the paper and all over trees and walls in Bucklebury, the town where they bought an estate by not paying their creditors, right? And people are mad and they still haven't been paid, and that includes the government debt. It's sort of their UK version of a PPP loan. But yet we're supposed to buy the idea that the Middletons are wealthy, elite, posh. Did you know that when the Middletons sold Kate's childhood home, they stipulated in the sale contract there was an NDA that forbids the new owners of Kate Middleton's childhood home from ever showing photos of the interior of the house? And why would you want to hide that? You don't live there no more. Are you trying to erase your working class family history? It would seem so. But we know that Kate Middleton and Carol and Pippa and James and Michael are all about money and titles. Otherwise, they would have rescued your girl from this rather troubling situation that we saw come to a head December 28th, 2023, and 9 months out of 2024. Pippa's hubby, her wallet, is frequently referred to as a billionaire. But I highly doubt he is one. The Matthews clan are another dodgy lot. Pippa's husband, James, is referred to over on a popular royal snark website as James moderately wealthy, right? Middleton, Matthews, James moderately wealthy. People suspect that the Matthews net worth is in the low millions, not the billions and not the high millions, right? And you think about in the States when we heard that people like Kanye were billionaires, Kim Kardashian, billionaires, Kylie Jenner, billionaire. Was it true? Or was it just hype to help them get a bigger price for selling their assets? Was it true? Or was it just, on paper, right? You value someone's potential earnings. Does that factor in? I'm not sure. But Pippa Middleton's terribly rich fiancé was said to not be so terribly rich after all. At the time, it was amusing to see all of the interest in Pippa's wedding to terribly rich James Matthews. Most of the interest in that wedding was on the periphery. Characters like Pippa's sister Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, Prince Harry, and Princess Meghan Markle. It seems curious that Pippa and James didn't really go for some glamorous, expensive honeymoon. Reportedly, Pippa and James went to his family's 10,000-acre estate in Scotland. The Glen Affric estate already had been booked for a week before and after the wedding, and a friend said, "Pippa has been on lots of visits to Scotland. It's like a second home to her. She loves the outdoors and sense of freedom. She also has lots of friends in the Highlands. She is quite a country girl and loves the Scottish countryside. It will be part of their honeymoon. It gives them peace, space, privacy, and some of the best scenery in the world. What more could you want?" If you thought that comment sounded Middleton approved, like an advertisement for Glen Affric, which is available for bookings, then you are probably correct. Plus, the Middletons love to sell Kate and Pippa to the public as just country girls, like they just stepped out of a Jane Austen novel. They are Buckleberry's local beauties in need of men of means, right? The get down is really what the post-wedding holiday we call a honeymoon. That's what it's really about. And, to their credit, Pippa and James have managed to have 3 children together. Another piece of advice Pippa got at the time was to not worry about alienating her groom's family. It's not like they could come back to haunt you because they don't have a royal title. And apparently in British upper class thinking, if you don't have a royal title, you don't count. Apparently, terribly rich James' family was not allowed to stay with the Middleton clan for the wedding festivities. The Middletons insisted on hosting the wedding reception at their sprawling manor in Buckleberry, but the Matthews family had to stay at a hotel miles away. The excuse given was that William, Kate, their kids, and possibly Harry and Meghan, I don't know about that, were all staying with the Middletons. I really don't know about that. So, no room for James's family. A source told the Daily Express, "As well as hosting the reception at Buckleberry Manor, the Middletons have got Pippa staying there the night before the wedding, along with William, Kate, and the children. So it's going to be pretty chaotic. James's parents are hoteliers themselves, so they are more than happy being put up elsewhere. They also understand the need for privacy, with 2 future kings and Prince Harry staying with the Middletons. Everyone will be able to make it to the church on time because Land Rover are apparently providing all the transport." Was that for free? So, was Pippa's wedding sponsored by Land Rover? Does anyone know the answer to that question? Another point of advice given to Pippa at the time: make sure your terribly rich fiance is actually terribly rich. And I think this is one of the most interesting parts of this Pippa versus Kate controversy. According to the Daily Mail, terribly rich James Matthews has had to give himself a pay cut at the hedge fund he started and operates. Notice they say started and operates. Is that the same as owns? I know funding comes and goes in the world of hedge funds, but if you're a hedgie, does starting it and operating it equal owning it? He has been forced to slash his own earnings by a wince-making sum of nearly £370,000 after profits fell at his hedge fund firm. Not so good at math, James? Is that the problem? Were the Americans roiling the markets? It left him with just under £200,000 in his annual pay packet. Poor Pippa. The Middletons always made it clear that she was settling for someone who was merely rich as opposed to rich and titled. And then it looked like terribly rich James was merely moderately wealthy James, right? A salary man. Like anybody who managed to get into a good college and had a friend who'd get them a job in finance. Like a Thomas Kingston, right? A veteran whose father was, involved in estate planning, who got a good job and dated Pippa, had a good job after serving in the armed forces overseas in the Middle East, but then ended up in the orbit of the Michaels of Kent and their daughter. After she broke up with an Indian journalist, she got with him. No children, and then whatever happened, February 2024, in the aftermath of Kate Middleton and whatever happened on December 28th, 2023, and Kate Middleton's surprise abdominal surgery that prevented Kate and William from going on their planned trip to Italy. Well, it's interesting to think about the long-torsoed Middleton sisters and their adventures, marrying well and trying to stay married when there's so many unpredictable things that men get up to. One person evaluates that James Matthews' parents made enough money that he didn't need to work, and his brother Spencer, who was on the British reality show Made in Chelsea, didn't need to work. But, that's why I think both brothers got into car racing or something of that sort, and Spencer ended up on reality shows. But unlike Spencer, James didn't take the TV route. Unlike Uncle Gary Goldsmith, James works and has been successful at it enough to afford a £17 million home in Chelsea, even if there is a mortgage on it. So again, James Matthews has other toys like a private plane, and his parents live elsewhere. So James Matthews has a bit more financial freedom. He's a bit more of a report to the office kind of guy, not a man entirely of leisure like a Prince Andrew, right? Not just coasting on the royal connections and making money off of it like Zara and Mike Tyndall. But mortgages are not paying cash. Mortgages, even, you never know, right? In the hood, guys will buy a sports car or a brick together. James Matthews bought some kind of country estate with one of his bros where he wants to run a preschool or something. If he could buy it outright, I believe he would. But it seems like James Matthews is rich, but his money isn't that long. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you can see how that didn't necessarily afford Pippa and her husband the opportunity to bail out the Middleton parents, party pieces, or potentially to bail out Kate Middleton if the axe falls on her marriage, right? If that pathway to being queen consort ends abruptly, as some suggested it might have in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, or beyond. It seems like maybe the Matthews family is not the safety net that the hype suggested, right? And it's clear that a lot of hedge funds don't actually profit off of anything more than betting the stock market. They don't actually make anything or do anything productive. They just sell off the family silver of the company they currently deal with, right? If they've bought a company with cheap credit, they trim it, they tone it, they cut the fat, they slash the wages of those who work there just so that they can squeeze a profit out of said company. It's not quite the same thing as actually being a captain of industry. And again, let me emphasize that the Middletons made the buyer of Kate Middleton's childhood home. They made them sign an NDA promising not to post photos of the interior. Privacy concerns aside, when they don't live there no more, it makes you wonder whether the Middletons are still trying to hide something nefarious or just how humble their origins are. They're definitely not the squeaky clean, solid family unit they've sold themselves to be, to William, to the press, to us. If the Middletons laundered Uncle Gary Goldsmith's money to get their business on its feet, then that needs to be looked at. What the Middletons did do is get their kids into good schools on scholarship. They encouraged the 3 kids to be smart, hardworking, industrious, and chase a coin with some failed businesses, or just chasing a man and being a pick-me like Kate, being, oh, I don't know, was it as much pick-me as settling like Pippa? James, tomcatted around and then settled for, I guess, the best wallet he could find. If the Middletons had married American or Australian, and if they glided into decent, wealthy circles without marrying into royalty, then their lower profile would have shielded them from people examining how they were able to jump class like that. But they chose the fame and royal route, and they are reaping its fruits. All of our popcorn stays ready because it's just too juicy. What do you mean you're so rich, right? What do you mean you were always posh? Working at the airline? Nah. What do you mean, all this middle bum and flashing people and skirt flying up? You know the techniques. You've seen the photos. You've seen Pippa doing it at Wimbledon. And if you haven't, I'll post that stuff on Patreon. The Middletons could have married their children into decent, untitled, wealthy Brit circles. But the Middletons think working rich people are beneath them. For such an unremarkable family, the Middletons have a staggering sense of entitlement. And it's really astonishing. They have accomplished not a lot financially as a family. What they really have gone to work on is pairing up their children with wealthy people. And it's quite frankly a little bit risky, right? The brother was kind of left out of the real pushes for status and social climbing, and he had to get what he could get. Rumor has it he is referred to as James the Lesser Middleton. And we remember in 2024 when the media pushed vacation photos of Pippa and claimed they were current, right? All those bikini swimming pictures of Pippa at her husband's family resort in St. Bart's, Eden Rock, right? Upon double checking, the photos were current for February 2024, while we were painfully aware that Kate was missing. What's the implication of that? Why would Pippa go on vacation when her sister was recovering from abdominal surgery, and whatever happened, whatever accident or incident happened on December 28th, 2023, were we supposed to believe that Kate was okay because Pippa was on vacation? Or was it being made clear to us that Pippa didn't give a crap about what was happening with Kate, and she was at ease and pursuing vacation and reconnecting with the giraffe on the beaches of St. Bart's? At the time, Pippa and James were both pictured on vacation. Carol was busy shepherding Kate around. We saw that swollen-faced picture of Kate in the front seat of Carol Middleton's Audi saloon, the same vehicle in which Carol Middleton suffered an accident in February 2024. At the time, I think we all knew how many bikinis Pippa was wearing and how expensive the swimwear was. And it was very obvious that Pippa and her family went on vacation, did not visit Kate in the hospital, and didn't seem to care about the very sick sister who had just had major abdominal surgery in the hospital. Now, which hospital? At the time, they said it was one hospital, and this year they said it was another. This was just another tip-off that whatever Kate had going on wasn't that concerning, at least not to Pippa and James. What is clear is that Kate Middleton lives in a very lonely world. Where are the girlfriends? Now, where are the brother and the sister? Why anyone would aspire to this high-risk, high-profile, low-reward lifestyle is a mystery. But she seems to be sticking to it. And I think it's because Carol, through Kate, aspires to the royal lifestyle. They're both social climbers. I think that UK British culture grooms people to want to climb no matter what, even if what they're climbing into is danger. There's a conversation to be had about women across the world and the danger of marriage to men. But no matter what Kate achieves in terms of title and length of marriage, it remains clear that the aristocrats don't really accept them and the Middletons don't really fit in. That's why we continue to be pounded in the States on social media with endless, they're dumping the whole photo reel daily. Every single picture, every single angle, from every single paparazzi and royal photographer shot, and they're beautiful photos, but it doesn't make sense. Where are these posts coming from? How are these thousands of people populated pages and subs and accounts across social media? Who is staffing them? And who is giving them the script for the anti-Harry and anti-Meghan attacks that are just constant and so clumsy, they're completely unbelievable? If everyone in the UK aspires to reach above themselves and the middle classes have nowhere to go but up, then they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you want to move up from the bottom and eventually buy your first home through sheer hard work, you would be really proud of yourself. But if you don't want to do all that, and you can get access through a posh school and an athletic scholarship to get in there, and maybe some laundry money to stay in there and be able to socialize and travel, that gives you the ability to just marry money. And Carol Middleton can be very proud. Some people suggest that she and her husband Michael have been separated, if not divorced, for years. But they can be proud that they have achieved marrying their kids off well. I just hope that they have married the kids off safely. Another choice could have been made that Kate Middleton could have been working on being the hard-working commoner princess. It would have required hard, consistent work, but it would have been a more substantial and sustainable route to go than just simply trying to sound like you're aristocratic by taking dozens and dozens of elocution lessons. The Kansa was present. The, kind of lockjaw accent could have been optional if the work was there. With Princess Diana, the work was always there. But some people say hard work would have been the tripwire, and it's not clear that any of the Middletons, parents or children, would bother. Was the party pieces business ever successful? You have at least 3 bankruptcies among the Middleton clan. So, it happens a lot. People take out loans, they start well, they use the PPP loan and buy, luxury car or bring the mortgage current, and then somehow all of the business is in the loss column and they're pulling out their pockets like rabbit ears and not paying it back. It's not uncommon. It's understandable, but is it royal? Some people claim that Kate has a much harder work tempo since the Queen died, but we know that's not true. Again, 2 weeks of work per year may have increased to 2 weeks and 1 day of work per year, but not half-time, not 1 day a week. Pitifully small returns on the public tax investment. Again, we saw Pippa and her family go on a tropical extended vacation right as Kate was supposedly being diagnosed with Kansa. No public visits. It beggars belief. And why did Pippa name her daughter Rose? After Rose Hanbury, when Rose Hanbury has been part of the Middleton Wisteria sisters' social circuit for years, both the Limpet and Victoria's Secret knew there was bad blood based on William's alleged dalliances. Most recently, Kate was forced to miss her niece Rose's birthday over a rugby commitment. Kate missed a state dinner before and a Commonwealth Day service too. Countless other events were canceled or rescheduled, but now rugby is a must over her niece's birthday. How many times would that have to happen for there to be resentment from one unroyal sister to the royal one? Stars, if it were you, what would you choose? The Kate Middleton marry money, become royal route, and being socially isolated, perhaps even from your own sister? Or would you opt to just marry a rich man and have a life of luxurious privacy? Now, I don't think Pippa's life is any crystal stair, especially when David Matthews is perhaps at the top of the stairs, near your children, when there have been many questions and legal challenges raised in the courts of France. Which route would you choose, stars? Please let me know.